Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So we've only got two names left on the list. We now have Hurricane Tammy that we've been watching through the weekend. And just to kind of recap, throughout the month of October, the areas that we watch is typically across the Western Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Western Atlantic. You also see this little area a little bit further out to the east, and that's basically where we saw, maybe even a little bit to the east of that, where we saw Tammy originate. And then it's been taking a fairly odd path over the past couple of days because it's worked its way towards the islands. It's going to be moving to the north and eventually maybe doing some little curves in the Western Atlantic. We'll talk more about that in a second, but this is the other area that we're watching. This is Invest 95. Now, I know it doesn't look like a whole lot. You see a cluster of some storms sitting right along the coastline down towards Nicaragua, and the Hurricane Center putting about a 60% chance of development on this. Now, it's got a really short window to really develop. It's basically today into tomorrow, because what's going to happen with this is going to drift towards the west as we go through the next several days, moving over Central America, and eventually whatever's left over with this or whatever forms, it's going to work its way into the Pacific Ocean. And then we'll have to watch to see if we see some development once it gets into the Pacific. But that's an area that we will continue to watch over the next couple of days, at least in the Atlantic basin. We also have Hurricane Tammy affected many of the islands over the weekend. Right now, winds are at 80 miles an hour. It's currently moving to the north at 7 miles an hour. Now, it has been dealing with some wind shear. You can see how you see kind of an absence of some of these clouds or that outflow on that west and southwestern side of the storm. And you see that fanning effect over on the other side of the storm. That tells you something. That tells us we have that west and southwesterly wind shear that is blowing over this system. So it's dealing with that. It's also dealing with a little bit of dry air as well. Now watch this track as we go through the next couple of days. First part of the track looks like, hey, it's heading out over open waters. Good for it. But then you see this turn back to the west, and this may end up working its way right over Bermuda, either as a tropical storm or a non-tropical, extratropical system, but still with some fairly strong winds. So Bermuda has to watch this pretty closely. But the thing is this going to happen? Because there's still kind of low confidence in this, just because we have a group of models that basically works and does that turn back towards the west, heading towards Bermuda. Then we have another cluster of models which basically just works us right on towards the north. Watch the various computer models and you'll see exactly that. You see a fairly tight clustering, basically a little bit of a kink in there, but basically works its way onto the north and west. And then you see these other models which want to turn it back towards the west. And Hurricane Center kind of buying in on more of this westward turn with this. So we're going to kind of watch to see if that ends up happening as we go through the next several days. Here's the European and the GFS, and you see basically completely different results with this. You see we've got one going one way, one going the other way. So what is going to happen with this? Well, time will tell, and we'll keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.